So the PNW Components Pine dropper post, 27.2 dropper post, has been with me and on this bike, the Kona Rove, for about 6 months now, and it's time to share my thoughts for the long-term review. Oh yeah! Hell yeah! So one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to do a first impressions and a long-term review on PNW Pine was because in 6 months, something that's mechanical on your bike might not work as good as it did when you first received it. Plain and simple, it works just as well as it did when I first got it. So when I first got the PNW Pine, I expected it to have a few things happen in 6 months. Well, not expected, but I hoped that these things wouldn't happen. Luckily, they did not. One of the things was the saddle wobble. So I wanted to make sure that in 6 months' time, the Pine and the dropper actuation wouldn't cause the saddle to move and it wouldn't become looser in the actual dropper post barrel. And yeah, it's just as solid as it was when I first got it. If you didn't see the first impressions, I would go check that out. But there is a tiny bit of wiggle, but I think that's with almost every single dropper on the market. As far as the dropper actuation goes, the loam lever keeps performing. I mean, it's such a simple thing, the loam lever, but you'll see countless reviews and videos online, whether it's for a gravel bike or for an actual mountain bike. The loam lever is just one of the best levers for a dropper post, period. So nothing bad to say about the loam lever, just positive. PNW was kind enough to send me a loam lever to put on the Karate Monkey as well, which I've been loving. It's changed the KS Lev to a better dropper just because of the lever. The actuation is much smoother and easier to accomplish with the loam lever over the original KS lever, which really wasn't even a lever, it was like a button, a weird button. The actuation is still very smooth and quiet, has not gotten louder or stiffer. There was one instance where when I actuated it, it almost felt like there was grit or sand in there, but after that one instance, it went back to normal. I thought I would have to service it, but I haven't serviced it 6 months and it's been perfect. I'm gonna service it here in the winter because that's just what I do in winter, is kind of go through the bikes and, you know, tune them up and make sure everything is running for the next year. So what has this dropper done in terms of changing the way I ride this bike? Well, it's actually let me lend my mountain bike to a lot of people. And you guys might have seen these videos, but there's 3 specific videos where I ride the Kona and someone else, friend, family member, whoever it may be, is actually riding the Karate Monkey. And that's because of the dropper. I don't think I would have felt comfortable going down some single track in Fruta with some rocky sections without a dropper. There's a couple shots I remember where you could actually see the saddle from the chesty mount. So I had to really fling the bike far in front of me and sort of get the saddle out of the way to do that. So the dropper has just facilitated the underbiking that I love to do on the Kona Rove. If you haven't tried underbiking, I definitely recommend it. The only real thing that I did not like with the dropper is just that it's externally routed and there's really nothing you could do about it. The aesthetic of an externally routed dropper post, it isn't the nicest thing to look at, yeah, but with my full frame bag, the Rogue Panda Designs bag, it's actually seamless. You can't really see the cable and it just hides so well in between the bag and the frame. I took the bag off just so you guys can see and so I can kind of see before I did this video how it would look without the frame bag. And I gotta be honest, these zip ties at the beginning bothered me, but once they're there, they're just kind of there. It is what it is. You are also gaining a really important part when it comes to having an externally routed dropper post. And one thing that I think I wouldn't trade for the aesthetic, that is just being the ease of use and being able to take it on and off your bike within literally minutes. Chop these two zip ties, unscrew the loam lever, and remove your seat post. And you can switch it to a fully rigid post or whatever kind of post you want. This facilitates and makes it super easy, say if you have a second set of wheels for your gravel bike and one is a knobbier set and you'd like to have a dropper post to ride with that set. But then you also have a 700C set of wheels where it's more road oriented and you might not want a dropper post. This is why the Pine is such a good post, because you could just take it on and off, like I said, within a matter of minutes. So overall, would I recommend this dropper post? Absolutely. For the price, it is probably the cheapest 27.2 dropper post you can get on the market. The execution and what it does is just exceptional. Yeah, and it just keeps working. It's super simple, but just keeps working. One last thing to consider, and this is nothing against the dropper post itself and the loam lever, but it's just my setup. When I have it here with a handlebar bag, sometimes the loam lever gets caught on the strap of the handlebar bag, so it actuates or it stays actuated. So just something to consider. I don't think that's a negative on the post or the loam lever itself, but just something to consider. So if you've ever been interested in checking out a dropper post for your gravel bike or your cruiser or your any bike with a 27.2, it could be an old mountain bike, check out the PNW Pine. Once again, thank you to PNW Components for sending this out 6 months ago. Been really loving it, and it's really changed the riding style I have on the Rove. Especially now with these flat pedals. I have some flip-flop pedals, which are clipless on one side and flat on the other, and it's really fun to just mess around with the dropper post on flats and just my 510s. If you guys enjoyed this video or found it entertaining or helpful, please remember to hit that like button, and if you enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, remember to stay stoked on spokes.